Aloha from the big island of Hawaii, here in my bunker, a writer's bunker. I am reaching out to see if there is any interest from others that would like to build out our 100+ cards of peace, the deck for negotiations on this Ukraine Russian war. I think that most would agree that the context of the conversation has provided a series of options that are extremely limited in representing both the entirety of the issue as well as the best potential options for all parties, including Russia, which speak of Ukraine and America. I will start by saying that Trump has in fact proven his mastery of negotiations. The problem isn't his lack of negotiations. The problem is his lack of playing cards to negotiate with. You give Trump more cards to play with, to negotiate, the better job he can do. And this is for those that are supporters of Trump. And this is more true of Ukraine. Ukraine is playing against the tide, the flow of the narrative. And so this isn't just a political propaganda to try to artificially reset the terms of conversation, but rather to offer a far greater range of considerations that are not being accounted for in the conversation. Once those factors have been introduced, the terms of the conversation will change dramatically. And we've broken these down, and I say we because I've talked to dozens, possibly hundreds of people on different aspects of this, and have listened to hundreds more, crafting these 100 cards. We've broken these down into what we call cards of peace. So in politics, and especially in foreign policy, in negotiations in general, it comes down to how many trading cards and the strength of those cards you have to work with. So it's a bit of a Pokemon kind of situation where the better the cards, the more cards you have, and the stronger they are, stronger your hand to negotiate with. So outside the political posturing is simply to provide those overlooked areas of the conversation and to break them down into these units that I'm calling peace cards. Now, what is extraordinary to me, if not amusing, is that so much of this conversation so much of the elements of this conversation has been entirely overlooked. And the biggest of those is on Putin's side. So Putin has been extraordinarily successful of setting the narrative in spite of the incredible fraud, which we will get into. So to begin with, the bulk of these cards are made directly from the dozens or hundreds of threats that Putin has made over the years. And they can be best summarized as what we've referred to, what we've coined the term nuke mongering, which is to say that foreign policy issues that would have otherwise been a matter of foreign policy negotiations is defaulted into implied or quite often direct nuclear threats. And so nuclear threats has become not so much the default of Putin's foreign policy, but in fact is the lead for most of the primary foreign policy issues that would normally be a matter of routine negotiations. So to translate those threats back into a foreign policy negotiation will dramatically improve the contact points of conversation and de-escalation, to be able to actually bring down the rhetoric. So one of them is to expose that Putin has grossly overused his ace of cards. This gets to the reasons why he's doing it, which is that he's actually working from a position of extraordinary weakness, which most Putin supporters feel can be exclusively a matter of propaganda. But once you look at it, you will find that this is, in fact, a man that is overextended. We don't say this is a matter of the propaganda wars of trying to say, oh, Russia's on their knees in order to build an artificial sense of hope and momentum, but rather to recognize that at the rate of hardship isn't the right word, at the rate that things are closing in on Putin, he it will at some point lead him to an edge. What we're looking to do with this peace initiative is to provide a off-ramp before that. The strongest of those, I actually believe, is North Korea. And that takes us to our first and centerpiece of the cards of peace. And that is to say that everything that Putin is demanding of Europe, Ukraine, and America, that America and Europe would demand the same of Russia in relation to North Korea for all the same reasons. So, without exception, every point that Putin has made about Ukraine, whether it's encroachment, existential threat, the nuclearization of confrontations, not through the back door, but right there at his front door, the issues of the corruption that's overlapping into other areas of international concerns, the attack upon people of, he says, Russian, so in our case it would be the people of South Korea and democracy. It is an exact duplicate mirror of all the same issues. And that is an example of providing a counter narrative to the nuclear threat. So Putin is insisting that he has a legitimacy to go nuclear to defend his rights to overtake Ukraine because of the threats that they represent. That is just as true, based upon the same parameters that Putin has set for his justification for taking Ukraine and threatening nuclear war for it. That is true of North Korea as well. So there is 4 reasons why we've been able to generate so many cards of peace, the deck of peace negotiations. The first is that Putin has used nuclear threats, as I said before, for somewhat routine foreign policy issues. The second is that Putin antagonizes the different foreign players, generally those that have extended a hand of goodwill, and he betrays it, they get pissed off, and then they counter to revenge the betrayal, and then he threatens them with nuclear retaliation. So now we can translate the betrayal and say the way you betrayed them, they should be allowed to respond outside of nuclear confrontation. The third is that the third reason why we've been able to find so many is that Putin has a double standard. And so by showcasing the logic of that as a standard of international behavior, calls them out in a way that hasn't been possible. And then the fourth is that from what I have found is that the threats, the nuclear threats, have generally coincided with Putin recognizing that he's being cornered. And so if being cornered is the issue, then to talk about alleviating being cornered would be the way to respond to those nuclear threats. So in the first example of nuclear threats in retaliation for a standard foreign policy issue would be Britain sending its ships into an area. Or maybe a better example. Well, let's give this example. So this is not the first time America and Russia have been at this game of chicken with nuclear confrontation. The most obvious and quoted example is that between Khrushchev and Kennedy, JFK. So we all know that JFK said, if you put those nukes in Cuba, I believe that was in 1962, that this is crossing a red line and it is nuclear confrontation. What is missed in that highlight is that Khrushchev said, okay, if I take those nukes out of Cuba, then America has to take their nukes out of Turkey. So part of what took the days of negotiation to finalize was this agreement of a quid quo pro. Khrushchev said, I'll take my nukes out of Cuba. US, you have to take yours out of Turkey. We don't have any counterpart like that. So Khrushchev was resourceful enough to say, if I'm not going to put my nukes there, then I need you guys to remove them. America hasn't done that. Now, Biden went in there and said, we're going to help Ukraine defend itself, but it never had a counteroffer. And this has actually been it's not one, it's the single greatest issue of the entire negotiation process. So Trump thought that he could go in and make a deal with Putin. Now, people think that, and there's legitimacy to the different reasons why they give for Trump's motivation, that he wants to make a deal, that he feels that he can charm and bribe Putin in. It's interesting. You can really see the shortfall of Trump's limitations as a businessman, because in his entire life's experience, he made deals with people that were motivated for the deal. And the deal was always monetarily based. Putin doesn't have those same motivations. money is incidental to him. So I appreciated the magnitude of the money for Putin, um, where about 4 years ago, I guess it was, Elon Musk was talking about when they're saying, "Oh, you're the richest man in the world." And he says, "Well," this is when he was worth about 300 billion, 250, heading towards 300. And he said, "Well, actually, Putin is significantly wealthier." So he left the impression that it was more than 300 billion, like four, five, 600. So this was Elon Musk. Here's a man that works at the top of the economic and business circles, and he was leaving the impression that Putin is, quarter of a trillion to a half a trillion, maybe more, in money. Anyway, so he has as much money as he wants. So this is a disorientation for Trump, that he keeps thinking, "Oh, well, we'll get to do business." Now, it's not just the business conditioning that Trump has, but the impression that I have is that the bulk of Trump's foreign policy, the centerpiece of Trump's foreign policy, was a Russo-American economic partnership, the way America was with Europe. And it's a consideration that's really gotten very little. It just doesn't register. Like, nobody's thought of partnering with Russia, so those prospects haven't been looked into. But if you look at them, they actually make an extraordinary level of. They make great sense between Russia and America. Like, you don't need anybody else. And so I really feel that this was the basis of Trump's not just foreign policy, like his entire presidency. It's like, me and Russia, we're going to go out there and we're going to conquer the world. And had Putin settled with Russia, with Trump in that first 30 days of his presidency, somehow Putin missed the fact that Europe would crumble. Europe would now be, what's that word? I always forget that word. There would be fiefdoms. It's another word. I forgot what that word is. There'd be just little fiefdoms. They would implode, and so you had all of the. There was a very strong right. The theme, the hard right, was that Europe is the problem, and the old globalist, well, rather the globalists, were the problems, headed by Europe at the exploit of American resources to exert their will in not colonial, it wasn't power, it's the evil, the worst of evil upon the world. And that they loved the idea that Trump and Putin would be getting together, and they would push back and dismantle that globalist world order. So what the new world order that we've heard so much about over the decades, the Russian American partnership was the counter to that. And so they were ecstatic with this idea. And I had some exposure to it from my time studying Lyndon LaRouche. So Lyndon LaRouche is well, let's put it this way. What the Jewish conspiracy is to the anti-globalist, the British are to Lyndon LaRouche. Having grown up in India, I'm an old Hare Krishna kid, oldest of the second generation of them. Third generation Italian-American, born in LA. Mom sent me to the boarding school in India when I was 11, 1976. Caught the tail end of the British Raj. My Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, his youthful rebellion was spent in the Gandhi movement. And so Gandhi, of course, was one of my superheroes. And my entire childhood breeding was anti-colonial, of which the British were centerpiece. So I was able to recognize the dynamics and the financial, political, and economic considerations that Trump was gravitating towards, or not gravitating towards, the premise from which he was working. Now, one of the turning points in my complete acceptance of Lyndon LaRouche's anti-British, anti-banker paradigm, of which England is the centerpiece of all the evil of the world, the way the Jews are in the anti-globalist conspiracy theories, was that our spiritual master Prabhupada, he was a pharmacist. So Lyndon LaRouche lumped Prabhupada in as part of that British conspiracy to funnel drugs into America as part of a matter of destabilizing Western culture. Now, having been in India, having met Prabhupada's family, my Guru Maharaj's family, his sister, for example, and the places of his business, and knowing in detail, I don't want to say intimately, but the religious study of our spiritual preceptor, the hardships and failures that he had as a pharmacist, definitely wasn't part of the British. It allowed me to see the limitations of Lyndon LaRouche's model. But I was very aware that, and it was really interesting because the Europeans had a sense that if Trump and Putin got together, it would be the end of NATO. It would be the end of the European Union. It would be the end of Europe as anything other than, I can't believe I forgot the word, where they are just puppets to Russia and China. So this was this seems to have been Trump's instinctive direction, centerpiece of his foreign policy. And there was really almost no price that Trump was willing to pay in order to bring Putin on board to do this. So it may sound a little far-reaching to people that Trump was saying, oh, me and Putin are going to be getting together and we're going to dump China. It was actually, and so the purpose of this, me getting on here, is to reach out to people that would be willing to help me build out a significantly greater level of detailed research on the template that I'm working here, that I'm presenting here. So I'm putting together the cards based upon considerations of history, of economics, and of military, and looking for others that will help me build those out. So that's what this is. This is a project, a project, not so much fundraiser, but looking for institutions or groups or media that would like to help build these out. So there was a significant level of sophistication and legitimacy, rather obvious to Trump's instinctive impulse to connect with Putin. So in spite of my recognition to its value, what I also had come to recognize was that, yes, this Putin-Trump coalition would have decimated the world order, the new world order of the globalists or bankers or whatever conspiracy heading you want to give to it. The problem that Trump had was that his counterpart is not a good faith actor. And so that takes us really into the first area of recognizing who Putin is as a personality, Once you recognize that, or once Trump recognizes that, that would allow him all the elements of negotiation that he's looking for. In a nutshell, I have about 10 examples. And this isn't a propaganda thing. This is to help build out the cards of peace for a new deck of negotiations. And that is also based upon finding the issues of legitimacy on Putin's side. The bulk of the conversation is built upon false premise. So we need to expose those as a matter of principle of righteousness and truth. But in addition to that, it just so happens that it would empower negotiating with Putin. So Trump was actually starting from an original, as far as the political system goes, an original economic foreign policy, and making America great again. The problem is that what he was anticipating of what Putin was wrong. Putin. So here's some examples. Macron, people may remember, Macron at the beginning of the war had repeatedly and continuously reached out to Putin. I believe he actually visited Russia. I don't remember. Somebody can confirm that. And publicly defended trying to play ball with Putin. A year and a half later, Putin throws France out of Africa. And Macron is really pissed. So then he threatens to send in his troops to Ukraine. Now, Putin supporters like to insist that Russia is doing just fine, and they have the winning upper hand, military advantage on the battlefield. But a series of incidences leaves me to recognize that is definitely not the case. And we will get into those a little bit later. But if that's true, then France throwing in as little as 50,000, 20,000 soldiers would break that bottleneck. So we'll talk about how Ukraine actually already won the war. And now is taking on the equivalent of the entire axis of evil, which means the equivalent of World War II. So Putin's response was, well, if you send in troops, we will nuke you. So then this scared everybody in Europe, and so Macron retracted the threat of sending in soldiers. We found the same thing with both Germany and Italy. Italy, the Italian prime minister was like, we need to give more consideration to in partnership and negotiations with Russia, and Germany was doing the same. And then Putin went and confiscated their assets. That was in retaliation for the European Union taking the $300 billion from Russia. And then both Italy and Germany said, "Hey, you took our assets. We're sending weapons to Ukraine." And so Putin responded, "Well, then, anybody that is going to be supplying weapons to Ukraine is now on the hit list when we go nuclear." It scared everybody and they backed off. So those are three examples of Putin betraying those that had reached out in good faith and in appreciation for him, and him biting that hand. It also provides us three cards of negotiation. That Putin, if you don't want France to send their soldiers, and if you don't want Germany to send their weapons, and those of Italy, then you can't confiscate their goods. So drawing this correlation between Putin pissing people off and then them responding in retaliation for that betrayal. Not just that he pissed them off, but like these were people that were extending themselves to him. And then him countering with a nuclear threat, we can now remove that conversation as a matter of a trigger for nuclear retaliation from Putin. It's saying, hey, Putin, you started it. You can finish it, not by threatening to annihilate the entire world with nuclear holocaust, but by not tampering with France and Africa, which, and by not tampering with the assets of Germany, Italy, and the European countries. So we've just de-escalated a nuclear confrontation, because remember, and converted it into international foreign policy negotiations. So the premise of nuke mongering. Hey, Charmaine, I'm doing a live video feed here. Can I call you back after?
Yes. So I talked to my mom, and I think you saw the text regarding the mirror, I believe. So,
I didn't.
Okay, so he was just reaching out to me, and he wants to connect later. He's just letting me know that he's been really busy. But I sent you all that today on your text.
Okay, tell him that you want 10 minutes with me.
Yeah, I wanted to talk to you. I just wanted to check up on you and see. And then I have a meeting I have to go to in 30 minutes.
Okay. So just all I need is 10 minutes with him.
I talked to my mom, and then she said that she was willing to help. But, like, for example, like, Jonathan got his car repoed, and, like, he's just, like, he can't get it back, you know, or some issues.
So those issues are all, the attorney will, and the realtor will be able to go in and identify those issues. And so if there's a lien on the property, they'll be able to find it. Right now, we only have one mortgage, and it has 70% equity. So this is the reason why she needs to have an attorney and a business advisor, rather than doing these things.
So that's why she's like wondering to participate if basically she'll have in writing that the title is just going to be not complicated, and it would be under her name.
It's not.
When we get the money back, we'll just.
It's not in writing. It's a contract. And
right.
Yeah.
Contract, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
But why don't you go do your thing? I'm gonna get ready to do my meeting. I just wanted to let you know.
So in 10 minutes, I can close the mayor. You give me 10. Tell him I just need 10 minutes. There's nothing to close. It's a simple, obvious. Premium foods is the hottest trend. Hawaii has the opportunity to take the leadership role in it. It's not a question of making money or how much. It's only a question, to what degree Hawaii wants to take the leadership role. We've presented a couple dozen working models in order to jumpstart that conversation.
And then if he agrees to it, then what? Then what does he do?
Then he would show it to his economics team and announce the Christmas, the Farmers' Christmas, where we're going to ask for 1% of all state budget to go to farmers. That's it. It's a simple announcement on his side, and then to have his economics team put together of what kinds of returns we can get by converting, of swapping out European luxury goods for premium foods as the newest, hottest luxury brand.
Okay. I'll text him back. So I'll tell you what he texts me just to. So you.
Well, just tell him that I just need 10 minutes with him. Just set up that appointment for it between us, and let me know what time that is.
So what should I say? Can you tell me what the text? He said, "Good morning, Charmaine. It has been a full and crazy week for me. Haven't forgotten about you. Lots of going on. My schedule is packed. Explanation point. Looking forward to our conversation, though. Rick." So I just put morning, Rick. Good morning to you, Mayor. Thank you for keeping me posted. Looking forward to us connecting soon, Charmaine.
So write to him and say, listen, I'm just looking to set up a 10-minute conversation with my economics friend, my economist, Raghu. So let me know what's a good time for you.
Okay, I'm setting up and what? And economics what? an appointment?
A 10-minute conversation with my economic, my economist Raghu.
Economics, ECOM.
Yeah, economics, ECON, economics, NOMICS. Economics.
Okay, yeah, a friend, just economics friend, right?
Yeah.
And then what?
And so he just needs 10 minutes of your time. He thinks it sounds really impressive. I think you'll love it.
This seems really impressive. When do you think you have 10 minutes of your time?
Yeah, just let me know when you have 10 minutes for him.
Okay. Have 10 minutes with him.
For him.
Well, with him. 10 minutes for him.
And then we'll set up, and I'll have him call you back at that time, or be available at that time.
Okay. We'll be available, or I'll be available.
He'll be available. Raghu will be available.
Should I put let me know or just send it? He'll be available at that time and then send.
Yeah, just let me know it's a good time for you.
Okay. Mahalo or thank you?
Mahalo.
Okay.
So I'm going to start this over because I was too long-winded in the introduction. So I'm going to start this over again and give a much stronger intro summary.
Okay. I'll talk to you a little later then. I have to get ready for my appointment too.
Thank you, dear. Appreciate the follow-up. Aloha. All right. So this peace initiative is from a compilation of about 30 to 40 articles and essays. And there was going into each of the different issues. And then it's culminated into a peace proposal. I haven't had the time in order to organize all this into the peace initiative, but decided to do it today because today is the 31st anniversary of the Budapest Memorandum, which is referred to as something of a peace initiative or a foreign policy initiative. It isn't. It is, first of all, it is the what is that? I can't believe I just forgot the name of that stone, that the kryptonite. It's what kryptonite was to Superman, the Budapest Memorandum is to the entire narrative by Putin that that the UN and America have been encroaching upon Russia's borders. So what the Budapest Memorandum is a contract of understanding, of appeal, actually, by Yeltsin in his partnership with Clinton to bring Russia and all the satellite countries in alignment, not in alignment, to tap free markets and the benefits of democracy and capitalism as quickly as possible. And that the Ukraine potential issues were written off as that it's a non-issue, that you never have Russia's. Yeltsin was wanted to partner with Europe and America, and he couldn't do it fast enough, and he reached out to Clinton as a political economic mentor. And so that is the personified in the, I mean, they call it a memorandum, but it was actually more of a political marriage. Like this was consecrated the the bond between Clinton and Yeltsin, of which the centerpiece of that bond was Ukraine. And this is the reason why this time last year, for the 30th anniversary, I did a 4-day fast. I made it no food or water. We don't fast for political issues, but I used the political issue in order to get me to do the fast, which I thought my health was faltering to the point of collapse. I was having what felt to be liver failure, and what is that called when your kidneys are failing? Gout. And some other things, that my heart palpitations, my triglyceride count, I believe, was about 2,500, which is near organ failure. And so one of the ways for leaving this world is fasting. So I was using the political event to help discipline me and motivate me to follow through with that means of passing. By the 4th day, my health completely cleared up. So it's not like I wanted to die. It's just that if I'm dying, that would be like a faster way of doing it. So then I broke my fast, and like my digestion cleared up, my kidneys jump started, my liver, the bloating went down, and things like that. Anyway, so I did that as an extension of the 30th anniversary, and I was asking for 1 million signatures to ask Tucker Carlson to please cover the Budapest Memorandum, and he happened to be in Moscow at the time. And some really extraordinary things were happening right at that time. Putin had actually come out and said about a month before that, with the introduction of his new missile, I forgot what the name of that missile was, but it's hypersonic. It's either super, I think it's hypersonic. It's so fast. There's nothing that we can do to stop it. And he said, I can hit any target in Europe at will, and there's nothing that they can do to stop it. And he said at that time, we don't even need nuclear weapons anymore, which is a fact that nuclear weapons is no longer at least for Russia's sake, is no longer a matter of military defense, because they can already at will hit every and any target anywhere within Europe, and a number in America with this new missile. Can't believe I forgot the name of that one. So somehow or other, the entire world missed that he had just made a roundabout offer for the end of nuclear weapons. So I was trying to ride on that. Didn't get any public traction. I did get my health back though. And anyway, the point being is that the Budapest Memorandum is not a political document, but a partnership consummation, a political marriage between Yeltsin and Clinton. So we'll get back to that. I just want to finish up with these cards of peace. So I don't remember why I brought that up. So we have 3 cards here. Oh, that's what I was going to say. So Putin goes in and starts mouthing off about how he just liberated these African countries from French colonialization. Meanwhile, he is doing the exact, in a far more virulently brutal and horrific way with Ukraine, same colonialism. This is what I mean by the double standard that he has throughout. And so we have there the cards of peace. If you're going to throw any Western countries out of other countries, it gives those countries, starting with France, the ability to throw you out that you happen to be working in other countries. So now we've reduced the conversation from one of nuclear threats of nuclear holocaust to ones of genuine foreign policy negotiation. Just to refer to the telephone call, I've done 35 books on social and economic policy proposals, of which 2 to 4 of them are made up of these 40 or so articles and essays. These first started, I've done 20 of those books in the last 5 years, 4 books a year. Most of those were rewrites on issues that were already covered by the series called Raghu-nomics. My name is Raghu, Raghu like the pasta sauce, or Raghu if you throw the H in there. Raghu was the King Solomon of India, Vedic India. He was the ideal king, the Lord, to show the ways of the kingdom of God in this world. And Raghu-nomics is taken to account for what the economics would be in a world running on the virtues for those of the kingdom of God. So that is the meaning of Raghu-nomics. The 34th and 35th of those is on restaurant row renaissance, which is to say that premium foods is the new luxury brand. And by it being the new luxury brand, we can upgrade the income of our farmers, starting at 3 to 5-fold. We believe that it would be on an average of 20 to 30%, which means that all the agrarian-based I was going to say countries, but it's more than just a country. It's actually at the local level. It's really just sort of taking the economics to the local level. So all the agrarian-based communities, there we go, would now be the new fashion houses, the equivalent, the monetary equivalent of what Europe's old fashion houses and districts were. So as fashion was for Paris and accessories for Italy and cars for Germany, the proposal for the mayor, tried to reach out to the mayor here on the Big Island. He was too busy to meet with me after a year. So reaching out to the mayor in Honolulu and saying, we can be the Paris of food. And what oil was in the last century, food will be this century. And so the saying was, food is the new oil, Hawaii is the new Saudi Arabia, and farmers are the new oil barons. So that's what that conversation was being able to connect with the mayor. He's called back several times and kept missing his calls. I did these books on social economic policy proposals. I'll be leading the charge with the mayor sometime in the next, I'm in conversations with some of the farmers, so probably the next 30 days we'll be able to get that out into the public discourse. And this Ukrainian one, and the new book, which a lot of the previous books that out of that 35, like five groups of those books are just rewrites on the same topic, just new and improved. Whereas the new book that I won't have time to write it, I need to get it out. It's called Leverage Value Swaps, which is to say when you have one overvalued industry, you swap it into another industry to pay down that industry. So, for example, stock markets too. It's a bubble. So you would take out of was 65 trillion about 3 weeks ago. It's down to about 55 trillion now. So we take about 35 trillion of that and use that to pay down 60% of the, I believe it's 10 trillion of the real estate market. So this would cut everybody's mortgages in half. Anyway, more details on that one. I'll be the news book. So for this one, I'm going to start this over again and lead with a greater summary of the entire peace initiative. But this was a good practice run for that. And I was doing it in honor of the Budapest Memorandum and doing it as an extension of last night's full moon, which was setting this morning. So I did it on the heels of that full moon in the commemoration of the 31st anniversary of the Budapest Memorandum. But in closing on those peace cards, Russia, if you want to throw other countries out in the name of liberation, then those countries should be allowed to send in troops to liberate the colonies that you're dominating. If you want to take the assets from Italy and Germany, then they should be allowed to send in their weapons. And forgot what the fourth one that we just talked about. So anyway, those are 4 examples. The Ukraine for North Korea is another card. So this was from Khrushchev and Kennedy's days, and it makes for a beautiful mirror copy. Everything that those that despised Zelensky has a counterpart with Kim in North Korea, and the advantage that Zelensky has is that Kim makes Zelensky look like a really nice guy, and North Korea makes all the horrible things that they said about Ukraine, all the anti-Ukrainian pro-Putin groups, whatever you say about Ukraine, again, in comparison to North Korea, North Korea makes Ukraine look absolutely wonderful. So these aren't political postures. These are contact points of conversation that moves us away from the nuclear holocaust that Putin is continuously threatening us with. And so we're trying to remove a number of those issues out of the domain of nuclear threats, or as we call it, nuke mongering. So I'm going to get back on and start over again. Partially, I think you might be able to hear my tummy. It's growling, and so Mother Nature is calling me. And I'll give a better summary of what the Ukraine Russian Peace Initiative, the acronym is URUPEIN for short, and see if I can get to the punchlines a lot faster in the second go around. But this was a good jump start. A big aloha from the bunker here in Hilo, where I've done all my writing. It was raining really hard this morning, so I was waiting for the rain to stop to take it outside. But I'll just do it in here. It's not flattering, but gets the job done. Big aloha, Raghu-nomics with Raghu-nomics.